It is time to build a desert enclosure for the very first carnivore in Primeval Sanctuary, the creature in question of course being the mighty beast from the late Jurassic, the Allosaurus. Although this dinosaur lived in arid floodplains and forests, the Fallen Kingdom / Big Rock skin is perfect for a desert biome. And with that being said, I hope you enjoy this new enclosure. Hello everyone, welcome to the building segment of the video, and just as I stated in the intro, I am going to be building an Allosaurus habitat that is set in the desert biome. Now, right now I'm placing some viewing galleries. Normally, you don't see me place viewing galleries. I usually am more, it's more creative, in my opinion, to use multi-wall pieces or concrete barriers as a way to look into the enclosure. But I decided, hey, this is a carnivore. Some people are going to be a bit squeamish when it comes to having pretty much no glass wall when you're looking into the enclosure, because obviously the main difference is when you're using a viewing gallery is there is some protection, a wall of protection between you and the dinosaur. So that's my main thought process when placing the viewing galleries. Whereas when you use concrete barriers or multi-wall pieces, there is pretty much no glass, no protection at all between you and the dinosaur. You cannot, there's a possibility that the dinosaur is going to eat you by, you know, putting its head over the concrete barriers and chomping you, right? So that's just not going to be ideal for the park or for the consumer of the tickets. Consumer, that was not the right word, but whatever. After placing the viewing galleries, you can see me now, I'm placing some concrete barriers just for the people who are a bit more brave and more adventurous, because, you know, this is for like the teenagers, the young adults who want to have some fun with their life, whereas the old people, all the scared moms, will want to hide in the viewing gallery. But don't worry, for the people who are going to look through the enclosure with the concrete barriers, there's going to be a massive rock wall right in front of this hill, just so that the dinosaurs can't climb up the hill and eat you, which is not going to be ideal, both for the park and for the person who is being eaten, of course, because they're going to die, and for the park because, you know, lawsuits for money. And yeah, that's pretty much my thought process behind what viewing style I use. But either way, I'm still more fond of using concrete barriers, multi-wall pieces, or even rocks when it comes to a viewing style in the enclosure. Now, I don't know what to talk about because I'm just placing more concrete barriers. But yeah, for the Allosaurus skin, I'm going to be using this. I'm going to be using the Fallen Kingdom or Big Rock Allosaurus skin, mainly because since this is a desert biome, and in deserts, I usually associate it with more like a worn sort of feel. Because if a dinosaur is going to be in the desert, I feel like it's going to be absolutely battle torn and mutilated, and that is exactly the look that the Big Rock Allosaurus skin gives off. Now, in front of this fence, I'm placing some decorations just to make it a bit more pretty, and of course, just so no one decides to be stupid and stick their hands inside of the fence that is like 10,000 volts, I placed some concrete barriers just so that no one, just as a prevention for people to touch the fence. And of course, there's a bit of a fire hazard right there, knowing there's some plants next to the torch. And now, I believe I'm gonna place some heavy fences next. Usually, I don't place fences in this type of manner, and by that I mean I don't place fences on hills, mainly because I don't like seeing fences being curved like Jurassic Tom does. But so to solve that, I eventually replaced the fences near the back of the enclosure with lagoons, which is a pretty smart choice if you ask me, because the lagoons, I always enjoy using lagoons as a way to as a type of fence, because it's just a cool backdrop, right? It's not like a boring fence or anything like that. It's an actual enclosure supporting the safety of another enclosure. That's what I think is cool about it. And also, it gives this nice curved look. It also seems more secure, right? If a dinosaur tries to break through that wall, they're going to be inside an enclosure with a Mosasaurus, and the Mosasaurus is going to punish that dinosaur for escaping by eating it. And yeah, that's just my thought process once again. Let's see what I have in my notes. I have a notebook, by the way. What is in this notebook is a bunch of stuff that I did in the video, and I'm just improvising about what I say according to the stuff in the book. And now I'm deleting all the fences so that I can fiddle with the lagoons. Now, I had to fiddle with this quite a bit, mainly because it didn't align properly with the viewing galleries. It would always clip into the hitbox of the viewing galleries, and when I tried to place it next to the viewing galleries, it would always go down, just like you saw. I don't know how to describe it, but it would lower the terrain, which is kind of annoying. I wanted it to be level with the terrain above so that I could dig down and you could see the actual lagoon wall. And of course, just as a teaser for the next video, there's probably going to be a lagoon in the next few videos. In the next video, I'm planning to expand upon this aviary section with there's no pterosaurs in the aviary, so there's pretty much nothing to put in there. Mainly because I'm too lazy to put a hatchery. Listen, hatching lagoon dinosaurs or aviary dinosaurs are much harder than hatching land dinosaurs, because you have to do a whole separate aviary, and I don't want to do any of that. Now, I'm working on the enclosure. The enclosure is obviously a desert, so I had to cover it with sand, but it couldn't be completely desolate, so I had to put a bit of dirt in and a bit of grass in, just so it's not completely barren. And now, just like I said before, I would be placing this massive rock wall in front of that concrete barrier, just so that the Allosaurus can't step over onto that hill and chomp down on our guests who are viewing through the concrete barriers. I eventually place some, I think it was Malta rocks or Mediterranean rocks in between the desert rocks, just so that there's a tiny pop of color. The color, I mean, let's be honest, the Mediterranean rocks as well as the desert rocks are roughly the same, blandness of color. One is gray, one is white. There's no pop in color when it comes to any of the rocks that I'm using. The only color is coming from the plants and not the rocks. But either way, it just adds a touch of realism by adding different colors and different sizes of rocks. And yeah, in between all these rocks, I place some cacti, well, not cacti, but some small desert plants, just as an addition to helping the guests not be eaten by the Allosaurus. And I just placed 2 goat feeders right there, just so the Allosaurus can actually eat something. And now I believe I forgot what I'm gonna do. Right, yes, foresty trees right behind those immunities right there, just to fill that tiny space. And there's this tiny weird shift in elevation inside of the circle surrounding the aviary, so I had to fix that a bit. And of course, for the people viewing the Allosaurus in that concrete barrier, that's okay, whatever. In that concrete barrier, I had to place a rock wall there too, just so that the Allosaurus won't jump down and eat them. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the enclosure. I think I placed a couple more rocks and a couple more trees, but that's pretty much it for the enclosure. I believe all that's left really is to populate this enclosure with 3 Allosaurus, which doesn't sound like much, but let's face it, this enclosure is already sort of medium sized, so it can very easily house 3 Allosaurus, which, to be honest, looking at it now, I do feel like it could have housed maybe 5 comfortably, and maybe a couple of Coelophysis or Compies, but, I'm not sure about that. It could have housed a Spino, but I feel like the bigger, more iconic dinosaurs like the Rex, the Stegos, the Spinos are reserved for reserved for later on in the park, just so that the people in the park feel more rewarded when they finally see those dinosaurs. They do all of this walking from one end of the park to the other, just so that they can see their favorite dinosaurs, and therefore it's more rewarding. And now, I have no idea what's going on with the visuals right now. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm doing some hatching of the Allosaurus, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Now you're going to be seeing some cinematic visuals, which I'm going to be talking over. And finally, I am thrilled to welcome these 3 battle-worn Allosaurus to this desert enclosure in Primeval Sanctuary. Although I didn't manage to get any shots of this on camera, I noticed that these guys are really bloodthirsty when it comes to eating goats, which I can't really blame them for, since you gotta survive somehow, and the way these folks survive is by killing all our goats. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so please do me a favor by liking and subscribing. Thank you all, and have a great day.